Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyil ameen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. Welcome back to our weekly English lecture, and today's lecture entitled Evolution of Islamic Banking, Case Study of Malaysia. And this is one of the activities and events hosted and organized by Islamic Economics Association, RAZLI Islami Bijamiatil Kuwait. As RAZLI Islami Bijamiatil Kuwait is promoting Sharia compliant finance models, strategies, and policies by conducting lectures, forums, seminars, and conferences and workshops. Our programs and activities usually cover a wide range of areas in Islamic banking, finance, microfinance, insurance, capital market, equity market, sukuk, and fintech, wealth management and debt management, corporate banking products, and so on. So today's lecture on evolution of Islamic banking will be conducted by Associate Professor Dr. RAZLI. So we welcome Dr. RAZLI to the platform again. And Dr. RAZLI is he brings with him over 30 years of experience in banking and finance, with 25 years in Islamic finance. His proficiency lies in the transformation of traditional banking and financial operations into Sharia compliant operations. He is one of the council members of National Saving Bank Sharia Committee in Malaysia and sits as an independent and non-executive director of board in Wasiyah Family Office. And he is currently a senior lecturer at Azman Hashim International Business School, University Technology, Malaysia, and an adjunct fellow of IIBF International Islamic University, Malaysia. Dr. RAZLI was the Director of Sharia and Business Advisory Department of Islamic Banking and Finance Institute of Malaysia, and responsible to advise more than 130 Islamic funds by local and international asset management companies, Finance Accreditation Agency, an international independent quality assurance and accreditation body for the financial services industry, has appointed him as the FA panel member since 2014. He is also a regular speaker for Financial Sector Talent Enrichment Program, initiated by Asian Institute of Chartered Bankers under the Central Bank of Malaysia. Dr. RAZLI has co-authored practical Islamic finance books and journals. He is one of the appointed columnists in DagangNews.com, at least the latest business news portal focusing on business activities, corporate stocks, commodities, and entrepreneurs. Dr. RAZLI is a proficient trainer in operational aspects of banking and finance, where he has been invited to share his practical experience in many countries. Who is a member of Malaysian Institute of Management, and Dr. RAZLI obtained his Bachelor of Economics from Flinders University of South Australia, and he attained his doctorate in management from Northern University of Malaysia in 2020. So this is an honor for us to welcome again Dr. RAZLI to conduct today's lecture on the evolution of Islamic banking. Please welcome, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad, for inviting me again to this platform, which is a very important platform for us, Kuwait in Malaysia. We can work together well later. I think there are so many, collaboration. I think we can do both UTM, University Technology Malaysia, and Kuwait University. Later we will talk how we can work together. And then thank you very much also for the Islamic Economic Association for inviting me to share some knowledge, particularly on Islamic finance in Malaysia, so that this knowledge can be shared within among you, and also maybe the good things that you can take away, you can take the point, you can take it, and the bad thing you can leave it lah. So that's the purpose of our meeting, our discussion, basically, just to share some experience. Maybe one day I will invite Dr. Muhammad to share your experience to our students here, inshallah. I mean, our semester now is a semester break. Maybe in the end of September or early October, the semester will start. I will, invite you, Dr. Muhammad, to come over and talk and share with your experience with us as well. Right. So I'm sorry because I'm not feeling quite well today. I have a sore throat.
So that's why thank you. Full recovery, inshallah.
But because of the spirit I have, the courage, I think I try to make sure that I can spend 1 hour from 5 until 6 today in Malaysia time, meaning that 12 o'clock afternoon until 1 o'clock afternoon for you. Maybe this is your lunch time, and you can have something to bring home, some knowledge on that part. So today, basically, we are talking about the evolution of Islamic banking. This is the Malaysian case. Okay, so this is what we are going to go through today together with all of you. All right, let me share the slide. Hold on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the introduction. The topic that you are going to discuss today basically is on evolution of Islamic banking, case study of Malaysia. Meaning that what we are going to talk today, we are looking at how Malaysia established their Islamic banking in Malaysia since 1983, and how is the strategy, what is the strategy, and what happened, and what is the result of that until now. So that is what we are going to learn today together lah, yeah. Okay, before we go ahead with the evolution of Islamic banking in Malaysia, let us have a bit of refresher on what Islamic banking is all about. So number one, this slide, basically, I'm going to to put it very clear that Islamic banking, we have the philosophy. This Islamic banking, everywhere you go, be it in Malaysia or Kuwait or Middle East, China, Russia, England, London, anywhere in Malaysia, anywhere in the world, we still need to know what are the philosophy behind Islamic banking. Okay, number one, if you can see from the slide, we are looking at the just, fair, and balanced society. That's point number one. Meaning that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has created everything in this world enough for everybody. Enough for everybody. It's a matter of how we in this world can manage it so that everybody will get their share. Will get the share. But at the moment, you can see the rich, very rich, the poor, very poor, because of the system that we are having at the moment is not balanced enough to ensure that the distribution of the resources in this world to be distributed fair to everybody in the society. So Islamic banking, the purpose, the philosophy is basically to give just, fair and balanced society. That's point number one. Number two, Islamic banking also, the purpose is basically to protect the interest and the benefit of people. This is something to do with Maqasid Sharia. Maqasid Sharia, the objective of Sharia is basically to give the benefit to mankind, be it whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim. Okay, you should get the benefit, and we try to avoid any harm to the human being. So that is the very important point, Maqasid Sharia, that I think everybody of you know it already, kan? So Islamic banking also must have that, must do that. Okay. Next one, promote social harmony, meaning that we try our best to ensure that everybody who are the members of the Islamic banking lah, who take the Islamic banking product and services, they are happy. Whenever they take it, they feel safe. They can help them to do their business. They can keep the money, and the return is quite a reasonable return. They get it, for example, things like that. So harmony, social harmony is very, very important. One of the philosophy in Islamic banking as well. Construct upon the principle of brotherhood and cooperation. Okay, so meaning that this is more toward the Islamic insurance, takaful, ta'awun. Ta'awun is helping each other. So these are things that, Islamic banking should have. So whenever we engage in Islamic banking, for example, be it whether you are work in the bank, you are the customer of the bank, you are the management, you are the shareholders, you must have this kind of feeling toward other mankind, the brotherhood and the cooperation. Okay, very, very important philosophy. One day, maybe one of you becoming one of the very important person in the bank. Maybe you own one bank, for example. Don't forget that you should defend the principle of brotherhood and cooperation between everybody in this world. Okay, next one is the stand for a system of equity sharing, risk taking, and risk sharing. So this is basically the very, very important element in Islamic banking. It's supposed to be, but at the moment you can see that the risk sharing financing is much lower compared to debt financing. Okay, so we are trying our best at the moment, try to promote the risk sharing financing, for example, so that the higher the risk, the higher the return. You are sharing the risk, no return if there is no risk, for example. This is a very important philosophy for Islamic banking as well. Next one, promote ethical and moral framework. It's very, very important. Sharia is always talking about moral. Remember Islam constitutes of three elements. Element number one is what? Sharia, which is Islamic law. We have Aqidah. Aqidah is our faith. And akhlaq. Akhlaq is moral. So moral is one part of Islam, one part of the element that we must build in Islamic banking. Before you want to come out with Islamic banking, you have to ensure that the moral framework is there as well. Okay, I think I shared with you last time when we were together. For example, we have the business conduct under Islamic Financial Services Board, number 10, if I'm not mistaken, number 10 or number 9, IFSB, yeah, talking about the business conduct. Even the AUFI, the auditing and accounting and auditing organization for Islamic financial institutions, AUFI, also they have come out with the business conduct framework, which is, everybody, for example, if you want to know more about the business conduct, then you should refer to this framework, the benchmark, the standards, which is acceptable around the world, right? The next one, the second last one is community-oriented. Think of the community. At the moment, you can see that, after the Social Development Goal, SDG, promoted by the United Nations, SDG, you can see now, we are talking about looking at the benefit of the community, helping the community, and so on. So these are basically one of the philosophy behind Islamic banking as well. And last but not least here, talking about philosophy, operated within the limit. Okay, if you want to make you maximizing the profit, there must be a limit. You cannot oppress people in order for you to get more profit. It must be balanced. Things like that. So it's very, very important. At the moment, you can see if you look at the theory of economics, profit maximizing at any cost, for example, which is wrong. In Islam, yes, we can maximize the profit. Banking is the business. We are not the charitable body. But in order for you to make the profit, there must be a limit. There must be a limit of which to ensure that everybody happy with the development. I mean, meaning that, you know, you make a profit and that benefit will be shared among many, many stakeholders that we have in the bank. All right. So this slide, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the philosophy behind Islamic banking. This is where the philosophy that has been used by Malaysia in order they want to establish banks. They were looking at this philosophy as well. Okay. Okay. Second, next slide. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we must not thinking about banking alone. Okay, yes, we want to create a bank, Islamic banking, but we must understand the component of the financial system. We have banking. We also have capital market. Okay, capital market. And we are also having the takaful. Takaful is the Islamic insurance. And we have the wealth management. Wealth management, we are talking about wakaf, zakat, infak, hibah, sedekah, and so on again. So these are the component of the financial system that we have to think of. Like, you know, in Malaysia, for example, whenever we want to set Islamic bank, the first Islamic bank in the 1980s last time, we already, Bank Negara Malaysia, the Central Bank of Malaysia has already planned to ensure that they also have to develop a very robust capital market system. They have a very robust Islamic insurance, for example, and they also need to see to ensure that the wealth management of Islamic financial planning also part of the wealth management to be think of that as well before they can launch the first Islamic bank in Malaysia. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this slide, everybody, okay, today who attend the course, you must understand the function of banks. Whether it is Islamic bank, whether it is conventional bank, the bank itself has its function. Bank is always intermediary. Okay, bank is not the traders. The bank is not the company. The bank is basically intermediary. That is the function of the banks. And they have to work within the jurisdiction of the central bank of a particular country. Okay, so when we talk about financial intermediaries, we are talking about the bank. And the bank, you know very well that, you know, the bank, the growth of the bank is particularly driven by the customer due to the benefit it's offered, meaning that the customer is looking at the value proposition. Which bank can offer the best, the customer will go. Okay, so this is one of the function of the bank all over the world, but I'm focusing in Malaysia. For example, in Malaysia, we are having at the moment around 54 banks, 54 banks in Malaysia. Out of that 54 banks, 32 banks offering Islamic banking product. So within these 32 banks, whoever can give the benefit better to the customer, then they will get the customer. The customer will go around and shopping and get the best out of these 32 banks. And you know very well, the customer is different. Their taste is different. Their requirement is different. Sometimes maybe one customer, they are looking at bank A, suit them well. Some customers think that maybe bank B suit them well. So it's fair and square. It's up to the customer, how the customer go shopping in the financial market to get the best rate, for example, the best financing that has been offered to them, and so on. So this is, we call it the customer-driven type of thing. Same, whether it's conventional or Islamic. But of course, in Malaysia, we are focusing on Islamic banking. And many of the customers are looking at Islamic banking, of course, because they know that Islamic banking can offer a lot of varieties. Whatever conventional banks have, Islamic banking also have. And particularly in Malaysia, 65% of the population are Muslim. So the Muslim, normally they will go for Islamic banking product and services. But don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. The fact is that in Malaysia at the moment, 2/3, 66% of the customer for Islamic banking products are non-Muslim. Non-Muslim. That is the facts. You can get it from the literature reviews and get the information out of that. Okay, point number 2. Banking is intermediaries participates in the payment system, channel resources from capital surplus customer to the capital deficit customer. Bullet number 2, what we are trying to say here is that bank is the intermediaries, bank is in the middle. We have people that have surplus money. They have so many money, so much money that they don't know what to do. So they keep the money with the bank. As the intermediary, bank will use the money to give the money on financing or loan to the customer who doesn't have the money. That is the function. Capital surplus, I have so many money, so much money, put the money in the bank, and the bank will use my money and give loan, give financing to Dr. Muhammad, for example, who need the money to do their business. So that is the function of intermediary of the bank. Very, very important. Meaning that the bank will earn the profit, earn the interest for conventional bank by charging the interest, charging the interest from the borrowers, and then after that they give the profit ataupun the interest to the whoever put in the money with them. So that is basically the rough idea of what banking is all about. So you cannot run away from this. Everywhere you go in this world, this is the same. Okay, so this has already taken into consideration, meaning that is why excuse me, alhamdulillah, the committee members who are given the responsibility to set up Islamic banking, they take all this consideration. They know that the function of the bank is the intermediaries. They cannot change it. So the implementation, whatever the strategy that they are doing, basically have to confine towards that particular function of the bank. Okay, and sources of fund, we have sources of fund and application of fund. What is sources of fund? Ladies and gentlemen, sources of fund is basically the money that you put inside the bank. You put savings account, current account, fixed deposit, time deposit, shareholders fund, for example. All this basically is the source of fund where the bank get the money. And application of fund is basically how the bank use the money to make money. They will give financing, for example, they do some investment there and here, okay, things like that. When they get the profit, and this profit will be shared to the people who put in the money with them. So from the bank book, the source of fund, our savings account, our current account, our fixed deposit, they call it liability, liability side. In your balance sheet, for example, we have the liability side. And we have the asset side. Asset is basically the financing. You give the financing to Dr. Muhammad, for example. Then Dr. Muhammad open up the account. So that is the asset for the bank, because the bank is expecting Dr. Muhammad to pay the monthly installment and so on. That is the asset for the bank. So this is a very, very important. People now at the moment, even in Malaysia, even around the world, they are talking about we want to make how Islamic banking can become like a charitable body. No, banking will never become charitable body because they are the business entity. But inside the bank, they can open up subsidiary. Like for example, like Bank Islam in Malaysia. Bank Islam basically is the business entity, but they have the subsidiary. Inside them, they have what we call Sadaqah House. Sadaqah House is basically one part of the bank where they will help the community. They give the court the interest-free loan to some of the business enterprises, for example, things like that. They help the poor and so on. That all can be done. And sometimes the money, where it comes from, it will come from zakat. It will come from the tainted money. Tainted money, for example, the gharama, the penalty that they charge for the client, which they cannot use the money as the income. So they will channel out the money to this particular Sadaqah House. And the Sadaqah House, is as a one entity, charitable entity, will help whoever need the money, need the needy and so on in the society. So, okay, so this is the slide about financial intermediaries. Right, next. Okay, just a revision, a bit of revision. Islamic banking. When people ask you what is Islamic banking, remember last time whoever came to my class last month, if I'm not mistaken, Islamic banking, you must answer them. What is Islamic banking? Islamic banking is banking activities done in accordance to Sharia. That is the answer. Meaning that if you go to Islamic banking, it is a banking activities. What is banking activities? The function is the financial intermediary function. Saving, current account, term deposit, they give financing and so on. The same. It's a banking facility. But these facilities must comply with Sharia. What is Sharia? Islamic law. So that is definition of Islamic banking. Whereas if you go to conventional banking, okay, yes, there are banking activities, but do not comply with Sharia requirement. That's why they can give loan with interest. For Islamic, if they want to give loan without interest, that's why Islamic banking, they do not offer loan contract. They are offering the sale contract, offering the partnership contract, offering the leasing contract. It's different from conventional bank. Okay? Okay, you know very well the prohibition in banking. This is the three things lah. Normally three things. Number one, no riba, which is interest, and no garar. I don't put here garar is uncertainty. It must be certain, and no maisir, the element of gambling. So these are the three things that very, very sensitive to Islamic banking. We try to ensure that these three elements are not there. And also the activities done in Islamic banking must be the activities which is not contrary to the Sharia. You cannot finance. You cannot finance the disco. You know, sometimes people come in, they want to ask for the financing, Islamic financing, to create, not to create, to finance their working capital for their disco. Disco cannot. It's not allowed. Okay, and you cannot finance for the farming, for the non-halal farming, pig, pig cannot. Tobacco cannot. Liquor, Guinness stout, liquor cannot. So these are some of the limitations, some of the things which is Islamic banking will never enter into that kind of activities. Okay, this is about that slide. Okay, and as I told you before, Sharia, Islamic law, and the main source of Sharia, basically you know very well. I think everybody who came to the class today know again, the primary source of Sharia, Al-Quran, Hadith or Sunnah, Ijma and Qiyas. These are the four main reference for Sharia. Whenever the mujtahid, they want to make an ijtihad about the issues, when the issues raised in the banking, for example, in the bank industry and so on, then the mujtahid Sharia committee, for example, they will sit down and try to solve the issue. And they are using the process of ijtihad. Ijtihad is basically the process of rule making, and they will definitely refer back to Al-Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, and Qiyas. So that is the things different from conventional. And the next one, the objective of Sharia. This is the maqasid Sharia that I'm talking to you just now. The overall maqasid Sharia is basically what? To make sure to give the benefit to mankind in this world, and to try to avoid any harm to the mankind in the world, in this world. That is the main objective of maqasid Sharia, main objective of Sharia. And how to do that? They are going to protect these 5 elements here. What are the elements? You have to protect your faith, iman, your iman. Okay, you have to protect your iman. You have to protect your life, ladies and gentlemen. God gives you life, give you life for you to enjoy, for you to not to enjoy lah, but for you to worship Him in this world. Kan? So you have to protect your life. You have to protect your copyright, your intellectual properties, your mind, your what you call your trademark. Whatever you create, it belongs to you. So you have to protect that. You have to protect your lineage. Lineage is keturunan. Lineage is what we call the descendant. Your wife, your children, okay, your grandchildren, and so on. You have to protect them. Make sure that they are living happily ever after you die, for example, things like that. That is your job, right? To protect them. And last one, you have to protect your property. You have to protect property. These are the 5 maqasid Sharia, call it, or objective of Sharia, that everybody, you and me, Dr. Muhammad, have to know it. In coming up with the bank, in banking activities, if you want to come up with the bank, you want to own the bank, you want to become the CEO of the bank, you must always remember maqasid Sharia. In whatever decision you do, think of maqasid Sharia. Then you are going to be on the right track. Okay, you are going to be on the right track. If you forgot about this, then whatever decision you make will be, not in tandem with the requirement of Sharia. Okay, sometimes we as a human being, we are thinking about money, making money. Yes, making money is very important, ladies and gentlemen, but making money also, you have to do it in a correct way, correct manner. You cannot depress other people. You must do it with your faith, with your what we call, with your the truthfulness, the what we call the akhlaq mahmudah. It's very, very important. That's why one of the important competencies needed by the bankers is the akhlaq, is what we call the ethics in Islamic finance, Islamic banking. Very, very important. Okay, right. Next. This is another word that, for Malaysia and for us in Malaysia, sometimes we are Malaysia consists of the what you call the ethnics of Malaysian Malay. We have Chinese, and we have Indian, and also we have some native Kadazan and Iban and so on. No. So the words that has been used in banking sometimes is Arabic word. You can see what is muamalat, syariah, ijtihad, mujtahid, things like that. So sometimes for us, very hard to understand. So that's why to define the word is very, very important. For bankers, for example, all the bankers in Malaysia, they have been trained to understand what are some most important Arabic words that they must remember all the time. Like muamalat. What is muamalat? Muamalat is Islamic commercial transaction. So whenever the word muamalat coming out, so they know that this muamalat means Islamic commercial transaction. It is the transaction between human being, between the human being. We have ibadah. What is ibadah? Ibadah is your relationship between you and God. that is ibadah. But under muamalat, the transaction between you and another human being. So that's a very important word, muamalat. So we have the second word is ijtihad. Ijtihad basically is talking about what we call it, the process of decision making by who? By the Sharia scholars. And these Sharia scholars, normally they call it mujtahid. Mujtahid is basically the approved individual, the approved scholars to discuss and to give the opinion in order to come out with the decision on a certain issue. On a certain issue. You know, working with the bank, sometimes there are so many issues. So many issues. Like myself, I am one of the Sharia committee members of one, of one bank in Malaysia. So sometimes there are a few issues raised to us. So we have to settle the issue. We have to solve the issues. And in order to solve the issues, we have to do the process of ijtihad. There is a method how you are going to do the ijtihad. There is what we call the course for this. The course for this, they call it Sharia, fundamental of Sharia. You can learn this one as well if you really want to learn what is ijtihad and so on. Okay. So these are the things that we need to know. And ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to do some revision. You see, Sharia, the Islamic law, is always flexible. It is always accommodative to the changes, to the economy, to the needs of people in this world. When we talk about muamalat, Sharia is always flexible. Okay, I think Dr. Muhammad may know the word qata'i and zanni. Qata'i is the dalil from Al-Quran, Sunnah, for example, which is fixed, cannot change already. The qata'i dalil. But when we talk about zanni is more on muamalat, more on things that can be changed, can be what we call can be changed, can be interpreted many ways in order for us, for the mujtahid, for the Islamic scholar to come out with the decision, for the certain issues and so on. So that is why sometimes we need to see before we can come up with a decision. In banking, for example, we need to look at the situational factor. They call it situational factor, or they call it division of Sharia. Whether it is daruriyah, the case is very daruriyah, or hajiyah, or tahsiniyah. To put it simply, form, daruriyah is you must have. If you are not doing it, the society will be disrupted and malfunction. You need to do it, even though sometimes it is haram, for example, but you still need to do it. Otherwise, what happens? That the bank cannot work, because we are living in the world of a conventional bank. So if you need to do, you have to do it. So that is what I call daruriyat. You must do it. The second one, hajat, you should do. They're a little bit lighter compared to must do. Okay, hajat is keperluan, the needs, the requirement for human being to live without facing difficulties. All human beings, at least they need a house. In the house, it must have water, it must have electricity. That is hajat, keperluan, the needs. Last one, tahsiniyah. Tahsiniyah is basically good to have, nice to have. So if you have the house already, okay, if you want to you have the refrigerator, if you want to have the air conditioner in the house, if you want to have a TV set, then one is more towards the tahsiniyah. So these are the situational factors that have to be taken into account before you can do that. So these all are very, very important in banking, ladies and gentlemen. We in Malaysia, when we want to set up Islamic bank in Malaysia, we take all this into consideration before we set up the bank. All these things, all the information that I'm giving you just now, is going to be stated in our governance. in our manual, in our policy, in our standard operating procedures, and so on. So everybody must follow that. Everybody must follow. If you follow, you comply. If you do not follow, you are not comply. And all this endorsed by who? By Sharia Advisory Council of the Central Bank of Malaysia. Okay, this is something more about the to achieve justice. To achieve justice, we are looking at the productive kind of activities, for example. Okay, and Islamic banking has generated much interest, and also Islamic banking must must offer what we call opportunities. You must not only looking at the rich people to offer the product. You must also looking at the SMEs, small and medium enterprise. Looking, if you want to want to give the house financing, home financing, for example, you also need to offer the home financing for the needy. Low cost house must be taken into consideration as well in Malaysia. So everything in Malaysia, all the banks who want to offer the house financing, they must also make sure they are also have the what we call the house financing for the poor people, for the first home buyer, for example. Okay, for those our children, for example, just starting to work, they need a house to stay, hajat kan. So they need to have the financing from the bank, and the bank must help them, giving them a very good rate and so on for them to settle down as a family. Very, very important. Okay, this one again, I repeat myself, talking about the component of Islamic finance. Islamic financial system, there are four. I repeat: Islamic banking, takaful, Islamic capital market, and wealth management. This one everybody I think knows already, but if for those who do not know, please take note of this and put it in your mind, put it in your brain. Don't lose this one. If you want to know more about banking, you need to know all this. The Islamic financial system must comprise of four components. It's not only banking. Islamic banking is not a product. Islamic banking is the system. Okay, it's a system. Okay, in Malaysia, ladies and gentlemen, in Malaysia, Okay. In Malaysia, ladies and gentlemen, we have regulators on finance. On banking, the regulator that take care of the banking is Central Bank. BNM. BNM stand for Bank Negara Malaysia. Okay, we have the SC. SC is Securities Commission Malaysia. And we have the offshore Labuan Financial Services. We also have Labuan. This is offshore banking. So in Malaysia, basically, we are looking under the Bank Negara Malaysia. This one, the four left. And this Bank Negara Malaysia, they have the power to control over all the banks in Malaysia, and also all takaful operators, and also all the insurance company in Malaysia via one of the regulatory given to them. They have the power through Central Bank Act, Central Bank of Malaysia Act 2009. This is the regulatory set up by the government to give the power for Bank Negara Malaysia to monitor all banks, conventional bank and Islamic bank, and also insurance and Islamic insurance, takaful. Under the SC, under the Securities Commission, we have Securities Commission Act. This commission, the Securities Commission Act, the SC, will monitor all the stockbroking companies, asset management companies, and so on, brokers and so on. They are also monitoring the Islamic crowdfunding platform available in Malaysia, be it conventional or Islamic, both of them under the Securities Commission of Malaysia, which is where the SC got the power. They got the power from the Securities Commission Act 1993, and also goes the same for the offshore banking for the Labuan Financial Services Authority Act 1996. So this is basically the structure of the regulators in Malaysia. So when we talk about banking, the one that I'm going to talk to you, basically the what we call the evolution is on this one, under Bank Negara Malaysia here. Only a small part here. Only a small part here. Okay, Bank Negara Malaysia. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to come up with the Islamic banking, so there are three propositions, big proposition, the very wide proposition. Number one, why we need to have Islamic banking? Because we want to tap business potential. That is the strategy. We want to tap business potential. That's number one. We also want to have the viable financial intermediation, because it's supposed to be, you are going to grow the economy. Yeah? The microfinancing, for example, in Malaysia, microfinancing is the sector which gives a lot of what we call product. They offer they offer a lot of product to Malaysia, to Malaysian. Okay, so they are the one that spur the growth of demand and supply in the Malaysian economy. So we, the bankers, for example, need to help them. But what happened in the bank in Malaysia now? They are looking for SME, but normally they are more keen to help the richer. The rich people will get more. So it shouldn't be like that lah. It should be, Islamic banking should be promote the underserved and also the unserved market in the economy, which can contribute to the growth of the economy. And last one, the proposition is enhanced financial service sector. So this one is talking about, whenever we have Islamic banking, we also enrich what we call the ancillary services, the legal firms, for example, the IT firms, core banking system, for example. We have the legal, we have Sharia advisory. Okay, we have also, the what we call it, the architects, the engineering sector. They will be depending on the Islamic banking as well. So that is why, Mr. Muhammad, Dr. Muhammad, I was thinking maybe I want to bring in one of the experts in Islamic core banking system. Maybe later when you have time, I will bring him together with me to talk to all the students about the core banking system. How important the system, the banking system is. Yeah, that is why I was thinking last time, this is the very, very important, because the system will give a very almost 90% support to the banking sector, inside banking. And Malaysia, we have so many core banking systems, the company that serve for the 32 banks that we have. So one of them, the big one, they call it InfoPro, which is, I think the one of the experts there. I talked to him already. I said, are you willing to talk to my friends in Kuwait University? Maybe my friend in Kuwait University can invite those who are in IT, even those who are in Kuwait. Of course, they have the IT company who are doing the IT system, right? So you can invite them as well to the class to listen to this expert. That perhaps you can do it in 1 hour, later after this class, maybe in next month or whatever it is. I'm willing to do that. If you really want to have that session, I can bring him together with me so we can share the experience as well. 1 hour, even if you want to.
Inshallah, Prof. Of course, inshallah. We are pleased to invite. Yeah, inshallah.
Even you want to charge them, whoever want to come from that one, you can ask them to sponsor. I think you should do that because they have a lot of money, right? Yeah. Okay, sure. But that one is very good. I mean, for us, it's free of charge. Meaning that I'm trying to expose, the banking core system, which is a very, very important that help the Islamic banking in Malaysia to grow very fast. Without the system, it's very hard to go through. But we have a system, the good system, and that's why I think I want to share that together with you, Doctor, and also some of your friends. Maybe you have the IT system company, and there you can invite them. It doesn't matter 10, 20, 30%, no problem. We can have that. All right. You remind me that one. Sometimes I forgot. I'm old already. Right. Next one. This is the journey. This is the journey of Islamic banking in Malaysia. So actually, you can see there are 4 stages. Because the first Islamic bank is introduced in Malaysia is in 1983, which is Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. Okay, Bank Islam. Meaning that we have stage 1, we have 2, 3, and 3rd. And 4th, sorry. So these are the journey of Islamic banking in Malaysia that I'm going to share with you today. Just a very simple one, a quick one as well. Next. So this is a very, very important. This one is actually taken from central bank. This is the slide taken from central bank, okay? The developmental approach of Islamic bank. Okay, don't worry about all the small words there, but all you need to know that there are 4 phases. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. And I want you to know that phase 1, the objective there is basically to build foundation to address the demand. This one. Building the foundation to address the demand. Because before 1983, there are so many Muslims living in Malaysia, they do not use banking facilities. Because they know if they use banking facility, they are going to involve with riba. And riba is haram. And Allah declare war for those who involve in riba. So they keep the money, they buy land, they buy animals, they give the money, they loan the money to some of their friends and so on. So to fit the lifestyle of the Muslim in Malaysia, that is the first approach. Build the foundation to address the demand. We want to ensure with having the Islamic bank, so the demand for Islamic banking, demand of the population, Muslim population in Malaysia, satisfied. That's number 1, phase 1. Okay, that's why if you can look there, we have the Islamic Banking Act, because Bank Islam is introduced 1983, right? So we have the Islamic Banking Act. This one is what we call the regulatory lah. We have Takaful Act, and we have so many things there lah. You can read from there. Then after that, the phase 2 after 10 years, you can see 1983, now at 1993, 10 years after that. What is the strategy? What is the developmental approach? To increase access. Because Bank Islam is only one bank. Branches, not many, small branch. And Malaysia is quite big. So what happened in 1993, the Central Bank of Malaysia, Bank Negara Malaysia, introduced what they call it as interest-free banking scheme, where the conventional bank can offer Islamic banking product as well. Okay. So why they do that? Because if the conventional bank, which are well established in Malaysia, they have so many branches in Malaysia. If they are given the license, given the authority to do Islamic banking business, then the access to all the population in Malaysia is wider. So suddenly in 1993, we can see all the banking products are already, are known to many of the people outside, all over Malaysia, because the banks, they have so many branches. But one thing you must understand, the bank come out with the guideline, the separation of the money, to ensure that the bank, conventional bank, they have to separate the money, the conventional money and Islamic money, Islamic fund lah. Okay, so the strategy here in 1993 to 2000 basically is to increase that. So now people, they don't have to go around and cari and get Bank Islam. They can do Islamic banking business at conventional bank. So that is the approach. Now, the third phase basically talking about the internalization. This is where, ladies and gentlemen, I think you know your Kuwait finance house coming into Malaysia. Why Kuwait coming? We have Kuwait finance house, we have RAZLI Bank, we have Asian Finance Bank from Qatar. Okay, why we invite them, Bank Negara Malaysia, invite them to come in Malaysia? Because we want to learn the way how they do Islamic banking. They call it internalization. So all the bank in Malaysia now, they are looking at Kuwait Finance House, they are looking at RAZLI Bank, they are looking at Asian Finance Bank, and they learn something new, the way how foreign Islamic bank can help develop Islamic banking in Malaysia. They call it growth trajectory, capacity building entities, and internalization. That is the development approach. This one is year 2001 up to year 2010, basically. And also during that period, ladies and gentlemen, what happened is that conventional bank also has created their Islamic subsidiary. Before this, they don't believe. They believe that, you know, how come Islamic bank can survive? Bank, most of the income of the bank from interest, no income, the bank will never survive. But after they do the what we call they have the Islamic banking product, and they can see, oh, Islamic banking product also can make money. So they believe. Their belief in Islamic banking for conventional bank, the shareholders and so on, they believe that, yeah, I think Islamic banking has a good future, very good potential business. So that's why they invest, they create Islamic subsidiary. As you know, in Malaysia, we have the group Maybank Group, but we also have Maybank Islamic. That one is subsidiary. We have, for example, the Chinese bank, Hong Leong Bank, conventional, but now we have Hong Leong Islamic, which is fully Islamic. We have public bank in Malaysia, but we also have public Islamic, meaning that if you go to public bank, they will offer you with conventional product and they can offer you with the Islamic product. If you go to public Islamic bank, ataupun Hong Leong Islamic, they can only offer Islamic banking product only. So that is the third phase, And then after that, we have this last one is the diversification, enhanced financial linkages with other jurisdiction. So this is more on talking about the competency, talking about the value-based intermediation. I think you know very well, we are talking about the social development goals and so on. And now we are fintech, we're talking about fintech at the moment, right? We have so many looking at the capacity building for the talent in the industry. Whoever work with the bank, for example, they are focusing on that. They call it diversification, enhanced financial linkages with other jurisdiction, meaning that we have to understand, we have to harmonize the Sharia interpretation among the other world. Remember last time in Malaysia, way back in 1983, we are using the Ba'ina, which is very debatable contract. Now we are no longer using that. We are using the new one. We are using Murabahah, for example, now, compared to Ba'inah last time. And we are also looking at the equity-based financing nowadays. We are promoting musyarakah, diminishing musyarakah mutanakisah. Okay, even though the product got a lot of challenges, but no, we have done it before. We have investment account under deposit, no longer under the fixed deposit. We have investment account using the financing type of deposit, for example, things like that. So these are the developmental approach that has been done in Malaysia, and you can see this is very important slide lah. All right, you can look at the slide. I think Dr. Muhammad will share all the slide together with all the participants later. You need to have a copy of this as well, and then you can see there that why this is the story behind this. the story behind phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and I put it this way so that you can have a better understanding. See, why embarking on Islamic banking finance? Number 2, development phase. Our motivation, addressing the demand. So you can see this is the history. Okay, this is history where the the tabung haji created. Okay, things like that as well. Okay, and second one, the need for the greater outreach. So people in Malaysia now, they have access to all the conventional bank to do Islamic banking, not only based on Bank Islam alone. Okay, third one, this is talking about the charting the growth trajectory, where you can see that Kuwait Finance House coming in 2005. We have Rajihi Bank, we have Asian Finance Bank, foreign banks coming in there, you can see that. And the development of the establishment of the banking subsidiaries. We have Ong Leong Islamic, we have RHB Islamic, M-Bank Islamic, we have Maybank Islamic, many Islamic coming in. Sorry, I'm having very strong sore throat. And then we have the establishment of my previous company institute, IBFIM, IFIM there. You see, this IFIM, Islamic Banking and Finance Institute Malaysia, was established in 2001. I work with IFIM in 2002. Okay, so basically we are on we train all the banks to become all subsidiaries here. So we have trained all the bankers so that they are competent enough to come out as the Islamic banking subsidiaries. Okay, and last one, why the need of diversify the business. This is talking about the can see at the new products and services coming in. Okay, Syarah Standard. Bank Negara Malaysia, the Central Bank of Malaysia, coming out with the Syariah Standard. So I think this one you can check, you can go Google, and then after you can type there Bank Negara Malaysia Syariah Standard. I think you will get around 14 Syariah Standard based on the contract, murabahah, musyarakah, wa'ad. So for example, you have tawaruk, for example, istisna. Lot more. This is all free of charge. This is more on the ilmu knowledge that I think you should go and download and keep it. This is the Syariah Standard that has been set by bank, meaning that all the banks in Malaysia, they have to follow this Syariah Standard, the governance. This Syariah Standard basically is the governance that all the banks in Malaysia need to follow, and they are there. Okay, they are there. It's all everything in your laptop, in your handphone. You just type in Bank Negara Malaysia, BNM Syariah Standard. You get the 14 Syariah Standard at the moment. I think there are many more to come, but you have to keep update with this one. So you can have a lot of things that you can learn from this as well. So ladies and gentlemen, so these are the key strategic policies you can for transformation. You can see now in Malaysia we have 16 full-fledged Islamic bank. Okay, all the 16 basically, including of Bank Islam. We have Maybank Islamic subsidiaries and so on. We also have the issuance of Islamic banking license, Kuwait Finance House, Rajihi. Okay, and we have some of the foreign bank who are still doing the window, meaning that they have conventional product and they also have the Islamic product. Okay, I think I stop there. I think that is the things that I'm going to share with you. I hope that you can benefit a bit on this part. And Dr. Muhammad, I think we can take 1 or 2 questions because I think I cannot. Yes. I have a very bad sore throat. Again, we take a few questions and then after that we end.
Mashallah. We are very sorry. Even I didn't know that you are not feeling well. Otherwise, we could have postponed to another date, or we could have another replacement. But it's okay, alhamdulillah. It was very wonderful and excellent session, alhamdulillah. And there were many informative I can see the informations and resources and strategies how Islamic banking system was, evaluated and founded in Malaysia, stages of Islamic banking and phases of Islamic banking in Malaysia and other countries. Like there are some countries now, going for Islamic banking systems, and especially conventional banks are going to transform their system into Islamic banks. So that's why we thought like this topic is very important to send some messages to the experts and researchers in Islamic banking and finance, so that they can help their countries and conventional banks to transform conventional banks into Islamic bank. Yeah. So I think that's very important topic it was today. And Alhamdulillah, we thank you very much, Prof. I think there is no more question, I guess.
I think I have one question. I think I need to answer.
Yes, please. Please.
The question is talking about late payment charges. Late payment charges. Yes, late payment charges basically is the type of riba jahiliyah. Okay, but Bank Negara Malaysia, the Central Bank of Malaysia, allow that. Why? Number one is basically, even though we charge to the customer, we need to charge to the customer because we want to make sure that the customer disciplined to pay on time. That's number one. Number two, in Malaysia, we are doing dual banking. As I told you before, dual banking is conventional banking and Islamic banking, are done. They are operated side by side. If, for example, we Islamic banking do not charge late payment charges, then the customer will become, they don't want to pay on time for Islamic. So the Islamic bank, cash flow will getting in trouble. So we don't want that to happen. Number three, the amount that normally we charge the customer, what we call the late payment charges, if you look at the formula is basically the ta'wid plus garama. Ta'wid is compensation charge, the actual cost, and the garama is penalty. But Bank Negara Malaysia coming out with the guideline, and the guideline says that the garama part, yes, you can charge to the client, but when you charge to the client, that portion need to be channeled out to charitable body, meaning that you cannot take that one as income. For conventional bank, they can take it, but for Islamic banking, yes, they charge, but they need to channel out to charitable body. They cannot take that one as income. So that is the difference between Islamic and conventional. Even the ta'wid, the late payment charges for Islamic cannot be not compounded, but conventional compounded. So that is why I will put here in the chat box, for example, I will put there LPC guideline, GUIDELINES, okay, 2011. Okay, you type this one, ladies and gentlemen, late payment charges, LPC guideline 2011. Okay, you type this one in your Google, and you can get the guideline where Bank Negara Malaysia, the Syariah Advisory Council, Bank Negara Malaysia has come up with this guideline. So from the guideline, you can read all the detail inside there. Very comprehensive and very good knowledge for you as well, particularly to you who asked me the question. Very, very important. Okay, I hope that I answered the question.
Well, thank you very much, Prof. I think there is one brother, Dr. Elias, would like to say something. So,
yes.
Dr. Elias, yes, please, welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhyiddin. And thank you, Professor RAZLI, for your important presentation. Actually, I have a lot of questions, but the things that I want to ask, because we hope for you to recover soon, from your expertise and experience in Islamic banking in Malaysia, do you think that the Islamic banking in Malaysia accomplished the philosophy behind the Islamic banking, the philosophy criteria that you mentioned at the beginning of your presentation, slide 2? Do you think?
Okay, all right.
Sometimes we just make the Islamic banking a lot of things, and the Islamic banking do not accomplish not the things which is mentioned for them.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you very much, Dr. Elias, for your very, very important question, actually. And this question has been even in Malaysia also, there are many people that are arguing. They said that no, we have been in Islamic banking for the past 40 years. But the fundamental of Islamic banking is still not success yet. There are some more. There are still the disparity between the poor and the rich. For example, the product sometimes talking about looking for the high customer
And
only.
also because the things that we sometimes talk about the philosophy, it's too big to be accomplished from the Islamic banking. It needs the society, the whole society to be accomplished. The things which is related to the Islamic banking.
Let me put this way, Dr. Alias. Actually, what happened at the moment, frankly speaking, we are still young to claim that we have successfully complete all the philosophy of Islamic banking. Okay, if you look at the conventional banking has been in the world for the past 700 to 800 years, and we are just 40 years. And if you compare that, we are still small. Our asset, if you compare worldwide, is still small, not even 1 to 2% of the total financial asset for conventional bank and so on. Meaning that we do not have the capacity to influence the world to accept that Islamic banking is good for them and so on. That's one thing that we very, very important to note of. And number two is that we are still working under the umbrella of conventional. We are bound by the international standard. I think you know very well, Doctor. Even the bankers in Kuwait, we are bound by the Basel I, Basel II. All the standard set by the conventional side for us to fulfill with, of which that one becoming sometimes becoming the obstacle for us, for Islamic banking, particularly in Malaysia, to grow further, to capture that one as well. So that is the things that we have at the moment. I agree with you. I can say that the question you asked very valid, and for me, we are still not there yet, but we need to move forward. We need to ensure that our younger generation have the fundamental of this particular Islamic banking. At least we can talk and talk, let them know that this is the vision that we want to have. And even though we are not successfully now, maybe later, when maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, it will become one. Not necessarily from Malaysia, even in Kuwait, they can start in Kuwait, for example. Can start in other part of the world, even in Russia, maybe they can start with something new, something, the what we call the new strategy, new way how to come up with the Islamic bank that we never know. So that is what I believe. In Malaysia, frankly speaking to you that even the bank themselves, they cannot grow. Even they have the ideas to grow, but they are still bound by the shareholders, by their mothers, I can say the mothers and so on. So meaning that even the Bank Negara Malaysia, Central Bank of Malaysia, they cannot do whatever they want to do. They are still bound by the other regulations set by the US, by the UK, things like that, and so on again. So these are some of the things that we need to live with it. We need to ensure that whatever we do in Islamic banking must be enforceable. That's another word, enforceable. We cannot do on our own, but the law of the land say you cannot do. So it's no point. So we have to ensure that whatever we do, Sharia compliant, must be enforceable in the law of the land in Malaysia, for example. In Kuwait, you have your own law. So you have to ensure that whatever needs to be done, must be enforceable in Kuwait. So that's why in Malaysia, we are very lucky. We have government, we support us, even to the extent we can change our, what we call our act to give the power. For example, like the one that I told you before, we have Central Bank Act 2009. We have amend that Central Bank Act to give the power to the Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara Malaysia to come out with the rules that all banks must follow. Meaning that the Sharia Advisory Council, Bank Negara Malaysia, I mean the Sharia Council, they have the power using the regulatory framework which is under Central Bank Act that they can do whatever the way that they want to do lah. So this is something yang I think very important, you know, the lawmaker. That's why the lawmaker, the lawyers, for example, the IT companies, the ancillary services, they also must support. They also must support this industry so that we can grow together. Even though it will take many more years, but we have to move forward. We need to move forward anyway. Okay, I hope that I can tell you, answer your question, Dr. Ilyas. Thank you for asking me the question.
Thank you, Prof, for the clarification. And now there is one question, Prof, from Mr. Sahid. He said, is BNM Bank Negara Malaysia Sharia standard derived from the Ijma of the doctrine scholars? Also, is the BNM Sharia standard can use in another country for the Islamic banking Sharia standard? Thank you.
Okay, okay. Likewise, like Malaysia, okay, you know that Malaysia, we are also using the AUFI standard, the accounting and auditing organization, Islamic financial institution, the standard that apa nama ni again AUFI. So we actually use that standard, but we do not make it compulsory. Meaning that you can take whatever Bank Negara have now, all right, but you can make it mandatory if you want to. You can make it, not mandatory if you want to. No problem at all. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Prof.
Oh, you can hear? I
Yes.
thought I lost you already. So meaning that to answer the question, yes, apa nama ni, you can always refer to others, even to the extent in Malaysia, if you want to set the profit rate, we can benchmark against the conventional interest rate. We only benchmark against the interest rate because we want to make sure that the customer will be justly given the rate of return. If the conventional giving you 3% rate of return, and we benchmark our profit must be somewhere around 3% as well. So we benchmark. We are not using them, but we benchmark. Again, like Kuwait, for example, the question asking if you want to use Bank Negara Malaysia as the Sharia standard that has been issued by the Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara Malaysia. Yes, go ahead. It's no harm. Or you can even take it and you amend it accordingly. You put together, you sit down together with the Sharia scholars in your banks. For example, even in your Kuwait, I think we have so many scholars in Kuwait. Sit down and see what are the amendments that suit Kuwait environment. Because that Sharia standard in Malaysia, but you can use that one and amend it accordingly to suit your requirement in Kuwait. Can be done. It's not wrong for you to do that. Okay, it's not wrong for you to do that. And I really like if you can continue to put in more flesh in the Sharia standard, so that later when Malaysia see, okay, Kuwait, can I look at your Sharia standard? Take it, and we can also learn from there. And so this is the way how we are going to move forward. We have to share each other. That's why you can see Bank Negara, they do not keep all the standard in the bank. They put it in the website, so everybody can have access to it because they want to make sure that everybody knows. And of course, with the expectation that people can complain, people can comment, people can give feedback, things like that. Even if they take it out of the country, for example, if they have a very good feedback, why not? Bank Negara Malaysia can adopt that one for the benefit of Islamic banking industry in Malaysia. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. I think that's all. We are concluding today's session here. On behalf of Islamic Economic Association, we'd like to thank all the participants who joined us today in this session. And we hope that you will be joining all the sessions in future, inshallah. So you are always welcome, and we will see you as well. And our special thanks to Dr. RAZLI for this wonderful session and for being with us, even though he is sick today, but Alhamdulillah, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his quick recovery. Ameen Ya Rab. So thank you very much, Prof. We will see you again, inshallah. And our thanks to the management board, and especially Dr. Ala Al-Ubaid, the Director General of Islamic Economics Association, and other members for their services and effort in promoting Sharia compliant modules and strategies and policies. So with that, we conclude our session here. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Oh,
Thank you
see
very
you,
much.
inshallah.
Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum wa rahmatullahi.